the Bleav in Badger Football podcast on the Bleav Podcast Network, presented by betonline.ag. Once again, I'm your host, Matt Perkins, joined as always by Badger legend, the Hebrew Hammer himself, Matt Bernstein. Matty, how are we doing today?
Man, we are
Hammer, baby.
Yeah, we're good, man. We are good. I got one of my favorite people I've ever played with, maybe one of my favorite people in the world. One of the biggest characters, Dontez Sanders, outside linebacker or wide receiver, depending on, when you played with him.
Safety or special teams guru, whatever. I moved around a lot.
So Dontez, so I'll tell you a quick story about Dontez. Gained my respect almost immediately. We showed up. I mean, Tez, we were in the what's it called together, the region together, like almost immediately, hanging out, partaking in partying before we even were.
Why were
members.
we there so early, right? Like I remember I graduated, I went to prom after prom, and then I'm in Madison, Wisconsin in June.
I showed up July 6th because we played the New York, New Jersey game July 5th. And immediately I was there to just run stadiums and then work out. I wasn't going to play. So there's no reason to be there, but we were there. It was special. But Tez, one of my favorite things is you came up to me in September and said, Happy New Year on Rosh Hashanah. And I legitimately was like, what the heck?
So listen, let me say this.
That's so nice. Thank you.
So I went to Warrensville. Warrensville at this time, our school wasn't the best school. We were academic level F, honest to God, we were. And then my high school football coach, he got fired. And so then I transferred to a private school. It's called St. Peter Chanel, which was directly across the street from the legend, or should I say legends, Chris Chambers and Lee Evans, Bedford. So I went to Chanel. It was literally directly across the street, not across the street. So anyway, when I went there, my coach was Jeff Rowski. He is a Jewish person, and he was the first person. Well, not the first, but he really believed in me. He's a person who, like Dontez, you could do whatever you want to do, right? And so, and he put that stuff in me. And he was a Jewish guy, and he was the wealthiest man that I've ever met in my entire life at that point. And so I just liked the Jewish people there. And then I met you, and then I see this big. Bernie, he's bigger than the most Jewish people that I've ever met. And he didn't have a neck, right? He didn't have a neck. So I appreciate the Jewish people in the life. They taught me how to be very frugal, I would say, with my finances. Well,
to me, that was very special because you don't come into a locker room in Wisconsin coming from New York and have people who usually understand the background of a lot of other people. I would say it's difficult, right? Like, look at the world now. It's difficult for other people to understand other people. But that to me stuck out. And that's when I was like, man, I love this guy. Like he's like Matt, my dude.
I'm telling you that I was there with big old long braids and everything, shaking my shake. What's that? Hey, Happy Rosh Hashanah. Happy Rosh Hashanah.
That's exactly. And I was shell shocked. I was like, Tez, how on earth do you know that? Yeah. And and that was, and you told me that story, and I was like, man, this is so cool. And no one else said Happy New Year. Like, you're the only one. Yeah. So that's another, 100 dudes on the team and coaches. Yeah. Like, nobody knew. Yeah. So I appreciate you for that. And I want to tell everyone that because, I just shows the character of you and how I think, dudes, everyone gravitates towards you. Like, everyone wants to be around you. Your positivity, your energy on the field. So I know Dontez from 18-year-old Regent on to now, which you still have the energy. We just don't work out together, but I see the one-man Wolfpack is in the weight room in the mornings. Tell us about little Dontez.
So little Dontez. So I grew up, like I said, in Warrensville. I was blessed to have parents who absolutely loved me. Now, they divorced when I was young, but my father still lived in the same city, right? Had a very, very strong support system with my grandmother and my aunts and uncles, very, 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 very close. And I grew up, man, with some ballers, right? So my best friend, Bam Childress, he beat out Ben Roethlisberger and Mr. Football in 1999. He graduated in 2000. So Bernie said that was 1 year before. So that's my best friend. My brother was always 6'6", 280 pounds. He was recruited by O State. He started tight end there, got drafted by the Cleveland Browns, and he also got drafted by the Indians in baseball. So, and then my other best friend who, and I rank my friends, Brian Swift, who was a phenomenal basketball player. He trains Drew Buckets, my son, in basketball. So I just had these athletes around me, right? And so none of us had money. All of our parents was, you know what I'm saying? Like we were poverty. I mean, we weren't poor in the sense, but listen, man, we didn't have, but we had sports, right? And so that made us compete. And so I tell people, my brother was always bigger than everybody. And for me just to compete with my sibling, I had to try my best, right? Some people, they could just go out there. My brother, he didn't have to go out there and do the push-ups, but for me to make a layup or for me to play down man against him and to score, I had to give my absolute best. Bam Childress, he was just the most natural, shifty, left to right person in the world. And just to compete, man, I had to try my best. And in the neighborhood, we just grew up playing sports, man, and we would compete. And you got to be able to like talk trash, and you have to have thick skin growing up where we did. So I think like that's kind of where I got like a lot of the joy from life was through sports. It was a way for me to kind of maybe escape not having some of the other things in life that maybe I felt like I should be having. But then I think about like one of my other best friends who lived right around the block from me, and his name is Dwayne Griffin, doing amazing now. But he lived directly behind me, and he had probably the roughest childhoods ever. Like his brother was a big dope boy. So this is true. I used to hang out with the dope boys when I was 10, 11, 12, not in a bad way, but those were the people who, in high school, I was driving a Tahoe, a big old truck, and my parents, they all knew who the person was, and the guy, he'd been in jail for drugs in federal prison. But my guy, his brother committed suicide. He was super, super big in the streets. At the same time he committed suicide, his mom and dad, they were both on drugs or whatnot. Then his mom ended up going to jail. And then his father was the known crackhead. So now he's growing up. His mom is in jail. His brother just committed suicide. And that's when I really started, this was my freshman year, we started to really understand what loyalty means, right? How to have a person's back, how to be there for somebody, how to have empathy. I'm not going through this, but I can see the pain. I'm 14 years old and I can see the pain on like one of my best friends' faces, right? And we used to go to Ohio State football camps together. We used to do all these things. And to fast forward, so he had a scholarship to Akron, went to Akron, flunked out. So the guy who truck I was driving to school bought him a Camaro drop top with gold rims on it. And he'd tell you, man, he's like, listen, I wasn't going to class. I was driving around with my top down in that car looking for girls and things like that. But right now, he's doing group homes. He's making six figures, I believe, and he's doing an amazing job. And he's leasing out one of my fantastic 5-bedroom, 6-bathroom houses in the city of Cleveland. So that's kind of where I came from. I came up hanging out with the dope boys and the people who sold guns and things like that. I was lucky again enough to have good parents who kind of kept me out of doing some of those naive and stupid things. And I wasn't always perfect. But when I got to Wisconsin, man, I got to meet so many different people. And I ran into a little bit of adversity my freshman year with a knife. And that was the last time that I ever got in trouble. I said, listen, man, if I go home, I'm here in Wisconsin on a football scholarship. Everybody's expecting me to be great. And I remember being in court. And I didn't understand the severity of it, right? So I understood that I had a knife. I was being stupid. I ain't stabbed nobody or anything like that. And I'm like, man, okay, I have an attorney who's picking me up in the bins. I don't even know where the attorney came from. I got a phone number, said, call this guy. And I called this guy and he gave me all of the instructions on what to do. And I did everything he said. And then when we went to court, I remember this vividly. I remember I had this big old fro. I cut it all off because I wanted the judge to see, man, listen, I'm trying. I'm not bad. And when they said I could do a minimum of 2 years strict probation or 2 years in prison, my attorney never told me I could have the chance to do 2 years in prison. So when he said that, I looked at my attorney and I was scared because I didn't understand. Like, man, this is serious. Like, I'm an 18-year-old kid who was goofing around and playing around. I said, man, you can lose it all and then what? And at that moment, literally, I said, I'm not gonna do anything else bad. And I just had fun and said, I'm good now. And that's pretty much my childhood up until 18.
That's a story. Man, that's unbelievable. When did you start playing football?
So I started playing football. So my mom was against football. And this is back when my mom and dad were still married, but my father used to sneak my brother out to football. And then once they realized that my brother was very good at it and really wasn't putting in work, then I was allowed to play. And I started off, I was playing in the hood. I was playing for the Cleveland Warriors, but I had a phenomenal coach. His name was Glenn Franklin. He played running back for Michigan years and years and years and years ago. So I was blessed at a young age to have some very, very good coaches. And one of my great friends, his father was a coach. His name is Tony Franklin. We played against Tony. He went to West Virginia. He was another phenomenal athlete. He was a year after us. But yeah, I started off playing. I was a quarterback. Growing up, and I was a safety. And a cool fact is my freshman year. So my brother was 4 years older than me. So we were never on the same team. So my brother was the starting quarterback for the Warrensville Heights Tigers, and 6'6", he's going to the Ohio State, and he goes. The very next year, his shitty little skinny brother is a freshman who's the starting quarterback my freshman year. Let's just say at halftime, I was playing receiver. Let's say at halftime, I was the starting receiver and safety for the Warrensville Heights Tigers. But yeah, like this game was on not national TV. It was on local TV. We was playing against Cleveland Heights. And we were backed up on the 2-yard line, man. I called my own number. I saw the defensive tackles, they were spread out wide. And I just envisioned myself taking it back when we were losing 14-0. And I saw myself running a 98-yard quarterback sneak up the gut, right? I called my own number, the silent count.
Yep.
And the first touch, the center ain't snap it. So then I go to do it again. He snapped the button. I fumbled. I fumbled right there. We ended up losing 21-0, but I ended the game with 130-something receiving yards as a starting quarterback. So that was that.
Oh man, that's great. That's great. You should write a book, by the way. Off of your story growing up and how powerful that was, and then all these stories. I feel like we should all write a book. To be honest,
we could, man.
We should.
We definitely could.
All right, so. That was as a ninth grader. What happens? What happens to Tez 10th, 11th, 12th grade? And then what? So when did you start feeling football was the way to get to college? And then
good question.
Who came around? Who was showing Ohio State? I'm surprised you didn't go there. You said Michigan. Who was coming around at that time?
So very, very good question. So sophomore year, Dontez Sanders starting quarterback again. And now listen, I'm back doing my thing or whatnot. And then the fourth game of the season, we're playing at Bedford against, was Lee Evans? No, I think Lee Evans may have been gone. My sophomore year, I think he was gone. We're losing 14 to 6. I scored the only touchdown, right? We're driving. I'm having a great game. We run this place called 38 boot fade, right? Where we fake the 38 sweep. I put the ball on my hip. I roll out and I hit the tight end on a flag route. Tight end was wide open. He couldn't catch good though, right? So I lobbed the ball to him. The ball gets picked off. I'm feeling sorry for myself. And this is what I learned, man, you can never bitch up on the football field. I'm feeling sorry for myself. Oh my God. And I get hit, boom. Knocked out, concussion. Sophomore year is over with. But to take it back, when did I know that I was gonna go play college? I know this is gonna sound crazy, but I always knew. There was never, ever an ounce of doubt in my body that I wasn't going to go pro. And I'm gonna tell you why I'm still gonna claim me going pro, because I'm really big on setting goals. And I Bleav that I had the wrong goal. So I always knew that I was gonna go to college. I was just always excited to figure out what college I was going to. I never knew. I just wanted to figure out. My brother was going to college. It's just something that I always knew. I like Dontez Sanders, like Barry Sanders. I saw my name on it. I believed it, right? I had people who spoke that into me, right? Who spoke that positiveness into me. So I always believed that and knew that. And then as I go through, I visit that private school, Chanel, that was across the street from Lee School, my freshman year. But again, I'm in Warrensville, I'm with my boys, and I take a visit to this private school, right? And like, guys, man, there's a whole bunch of white people. I can say a whole bunch of white people because I'm married to a white woman. Like, man, all these white people, man, they walk around, man, they faces are shaved, they gotta tuck their shirts in, and they're wearing shirts just like I'm wearing right now. I'm not going here, I'm staying in Warrensville. And then I go to Warrensville, and then my junior year, so my freshman year, we were 1-19. Sorry, 1-9. My second year, we were 2-8. And then my junior year, we were 4-6, and my high school coach got fired. My high school coach, man, was a friend of the family. Like, we loved him. He got my brother into college. We still love him right now. He was a very good role model. It still is a very good role model for the kids at Warrensville. But then when he got fired, we didn't like, my family didn't like the way how it went down, right? And so one of the things I told the AD at that time was, listen, you let him go, I'm gone. Who am I? I'm 15, 16 years old, going up to a grown man, right? And so he let him go. And so me and Tony Franklin, the kid who ended up going to West Virginia, we both left. We both went to Chanel at the exact same time. And when we went there, so at that point, I only had scholarship offers from Cincinnati, from Pitt, Indiana. Now listen, I like
pretty good schools.
But I had they not a bunch of MAC schools offer me, but they show interest. But at that point, you know what I'm saying, I kind of knew, like, all right, this is like, I want to play at the highest level that I possibly can. And my senior year, I'm having a very good season, right? And my Ohio State, they're coming to practice, they're coming to school. Michigan, so you know when they call your name on the announcements, and then people see it, and then I walk around, I'm a big shot, right? I'm the only person that's bringing these kids, like Bam Childress did that, but Bam ain't here no more. It's Dontez now, right? I'm walking around with my shirt tucked in and my face shaved now, and they coming to see me, right? And so here's why I really have a high disdain for Ohio State. I respect them, but I can't stand them. My brother went there, my best friend went there, they got scholarships and blah, 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 blah. And as they're recruiting me, I remember this, Michigan contacted me and they said, Dontez, this is an unusual year for us. We had 16 people commit, blah, 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 blah. We're not gonna offer you. I was like, you know what, Michigan? I respect that. I don't love it. I respect that, cool. Ohio State just ghosted me. They ain't give me, and so at that point, I was like, man, you don't do business, you don't do people. Like, I mean, listen, you don't got, but man, you can, like, it's a way of doing it, and it's a way that I Bleav is Bush League. And I felt that my brother being there, my best, you give me that call and say, listen, you ain't coming here. But they just ghosted me and stopped appearing and things like that. And Henry Mason used to come to my practices. And I remember this, man, we were practicing at Bedford. We got a whole bunch of snow here, and they had turf. And Coach Mason was at my first practice, right? And I'm a receiver. And I didn't wear gloves because I thought, like, I don't need to, I got good hands. And I remember at practice, I wanted to make sure I caught the ball because Coach Mason is here, right? From Wisconsin. I don't want to be dropping balls and it's freezing outside. We're preparing for the state champion. So I'm using my body to catch the ball, right? And he said, hey, man, let me see you catch the ball with your hands. So then I'm out there in the curtain, I'm catching the ball like with my hands and things like that. And you know, so it's just those like little things. So now I even teach my son when he's 6 years old, man, catch the ball with your hands. Like, this is what you do. And so then I got the offer from Wisconsin. Well, wait, and then I took my visit. So I didn't take all 5 visits because we went to the state championship my senior year. And so this is a selfish thing. I wanted to experience the visits more, right? But I couldn't. So anyway, my host was Lee Evans. Right? So this is a PG show, but Lee Evans was one of the most phenomenal hosts, and not just for the partying and things like that, but man, he was really truthful with me on his experience of being a Badger. And not just his experience, but I got to hang out with the fellas, right? And I like a lot of those fellas, but our class, man, I tell you right now, was the best class I Bleav to ever walk through that campus. And not just talent-wise, I mean the brothership, the fellowship, and how we still talk and on things now. But when they offered me, and I remember going to Barry Alvarez's house, and again, this was the biggest house in the world now at the time. And now he's the richest man that I've ever seen. Now, Coach Rossi, you was a rip, but now it's Barry Alvarez. And you know how they get all the food and stuff out, and his wife is walking with like the Louis Vuitton purse. Like, she got a Louis Vuitton purse. Oh my God. And then I see all the other recruits there. And then you see a couple people get called into his office. And now everybody going into Barry Alvarez's office in his house. I'm kind of like, well, okay. And then I get my call to go back in his office. And now, like, this is where, in the business world now, he's bringing you in that room to close the deal, right? All of the rose bowls, rings, and all of the bowl game, all the stuff is right there. And Coach Alvarez, he's sitting there with his slacks on and all cool and calm and just confident. So how was you tripping about block? Like, how do you feel about being a Badger? It's like, man, I can't wait to be a Badger, man. Let's do this. Where do I sign? So I committed. But I told Pitt before I went there, they made me promise to him. Pitt made me promise to him. And Coach Rossi, he would tell you this story. I would not commit until I take a visit to Pitt. So I said, yeah, listen, I'm 17 years old. I said, yeah, Coach, yeah, for sure I want, yeah, for sure I'm coming there. And in my mind, I'm going to take my visit to Pitt because I do want to experience and when I got back, it was like 11:30 at night. I get a call from, what's his name? I forget that dumb coach name, but he calls me.
Was Dave Wanstead at Pitt at that point?
Dave Wanstead. And so Bernie, interesting story. I went to a Pittsburgh camp and they wanted me to play defense there. And I wanted to be a receiver. Listen, I was still going to Wisconsin regardless because Wisconsin's Big Ten, right? But they had me at their camp and I was faced up against Larry Fitzgerald. And that's all they wanted to see was me and Larry go back and forth. And I'm trying to get on the offensive side. And when they kept putting me on defense and they said, Dontez, you could play offense here once you get, like, we want you to go. But at that moment, I kind of felt like, man, they're going to have me stuck on the defensive end and I don't want to play defense, says the starting linebacker at Wisconsin, right? So he gets back and he asked me, so how's the visit? Did you commit? Mine. I ain't mean to, mine. Are you? And he, listen, he's motherfucking me, right? Like now, he really is. And he's like, God damn it. And he hung up. 5 minutes later, I get a call from my high school coach, Tez. I didn't even get a chance to call my high school coach yet. It's 11:30 on Sunday. I'm coming back from what happened? And I never told him that I promised him because I didn't think that I was promising. He just told me to promise it. Yeah, you know. And man, listen, he's like, he just called me motherfucker. And I like, man, I had a great time. I want to be a Badger, coach. I'm saying, he's like, listen, that's fine. He should have made you, he should have made you promise. Not like, who does that to a 17-year-old? I'm like, yeah, coach, yeah, get him, coach. But so he still tells that story to this day. So yeah, that was kind of my thing. Wisconsin was the biggest scholarship that I had, and I wanted to compete in the Big Ten. I wanted to compete in that, but I wanted to compete at the highest level. And in the perfect world, if I had Michigan and Ohio State and everybody, I probably would have went to Michigan just to piss off, you know what I'm saying, everybody or whatnot. But but being awesome. A Badger, man, it was the best thing in the world for me.
Sure.
Yep. Honestly, God.
So Tez, so Lee Evans, but not as your host, but previous. Was he in your head at all? Like, wow, this dude from, Ohio went to Wisconsin. He's pretty good. I want to follow in that kind of legacy, or it more materialized after your visit?
No. So I did not know Lee as a person. I knew Chris Chambers then, because Chris Chambers played with my brother, and my brother, again, he was an athlete, a basketball player as well. And then Chris Chambers was a phenomenal basketball player, and I was the ball boy on the basketball team with Bam Childress. So I knew more of Chris Chambers. I knew Lee Evans was a beast, but having that trend of having Chris Chambers go there and have success at receiver. I mean, and then have Lee Evans go. These are guys who look like me, who come from that. I saw myself having the same success as them, right? And so now I want to transfer back to like goal center. So when I was saying that, so I knew I was going to go to college, and I knew I was going to go pro. And I tell people I just had the wrong fucking goal, right? I wanted to go pro, and I did that. I was on the Browns roster for how many weeks or whatnot. And I tell people, so to this day, I write down every single thing that I do. I write down every single thing. I write down all of my goals. I write down weekly goals, yearly goals, monthly goals. And so because I said that I wanted to go pro, it was the wrong fucking goal. I'm going to make it in the NFL. I'm going to be there for 25 years. I'm going to play until I'm 45, and I'm going to be a Hall of Famer. And I believe if I write that stuff down and I put it down and I work towards those goals, I could have, but I didn't know any better. I just knew, listen, you set goals, and like, no, you got to set the right goals. You got to be very detailed and specific. And so now that's why I do my yearly goals. All right, I want to have, this is my office right here. And on my wall, you can see 250 units, right? Every day I write down 250 units. Then I have my monthly goals and my weekly goals, and they're all working towards that 250 units. So that's one of the things that I learned at Wisconsin as well. Man, you just don't show up to practice. The coaches get every freaking second planned out. You don't show up to the weight room. You just don't pop up in there and just start. It's just, no. They get, and you lift, go. And everything is very detailed and very structured. And this is why they have success. And not just them, but even Division III college, they all right. Even my high school coach, we go to, you just don't show up. And so I do this. I just don't show up to work. So I don't have a job where a person gives me structure. I give the structure to everybody who works with me. And so with that being said, I want to make sure that everybody's their position, right? So I got a Joe Thomas who's been with me for 15 years. That's my guy. Like that's my Joe Thomas. And then I got some other people who's been with me for 8 years or whatnot. But I take a lot of things I learned from football and just apply it towards my life. Like literally, and I know it sounds simple, but that's what I do. And I believe that with some good coaching, which I believe that I received, I was lucky enough to have, when I graduated, to have people that allowed me to learn under them. And I was able to learn very, very quickly up under them. And that was it. I mean, that was it. I tell people I was lucky, man, whatever you guys want to call it, to be born at the right time to come home and graduate. And it's a recession, and I want to do real estate. And I transferred to Chanel halfway through my junior year, as late as you possibly can, to the vice president of Morgan Stanley, which was my high school coach. And now he has the means to invest in me. And I'm coming up here, hey man, coach, I need $12,000 so I can buy my first house, and no plan, nothing. So I buy it, like, dang, I gotta pay $12,000. I gotta pay him back. So I gave him all of the security deposit. I bought a 2-family house in the hood, in a real hood. I did all the work myself except for the electrical and the gas. I ain't have $12,000. I bought the house for, it was different times. I bought the house for like $5,600, and I put in $6,000 into it. I did all the painting and everything to it. And I'm like, damn, I owe this guy $12,000. I got to make it. I gave him I rented out the upstairs for $650, the downstairs for $650. Paid him back the security deposit. He paid him back everything every single month. Because at this time I was selling t-shirts downtown. I had a food truck. I was trying to figure out, man, I'm sick of people telling me what to do. Now, listen, I love football, but I'm sick of having to know if my position is secure, right? And that's the one thing about football, and I know I'm jumping around it, but that's the one thing about football, man, that I love football, but there's no job security. They're always, so even when they recruit people, right? They're recruiting people to replace you. They're recruiting people who they feel is going to be better than you because they got it. And if they don't, then they're doing their job wrong, right? So they're bringing in people because they want to improve that position. And so, man, like I had 1 year where I really got to enjoy playing football. That was my junior year because I was naive and I was starting. And then I remember my senior year, man, they got some ballers out here at these young linebackers with DeAndre Levy and Jonathan Casillas, yep. Right? Like, man, now I can't lose my spot to a freshman. So now my junior year, I'm happy. There's no pressure. I'm just making plays. Now I'm trying not to mess up my senior year, which was still a good year, and I was able to lead the team in tackles my junior and senior year. But it was still there was no security, right? And so how can I create that? It's just be the person who runs shit.
Yeah.
And so that's what I knew that I wanted to be a business owner, but I always knew that I wanted to do real estate. I just didn't know how I was gonna incorporate that. And then a recession come, and it just made sense for my high school coach. And then, so after I pay him back that $12,000, right? And now my brother started up a company with this uber duper successful guy, Paul Gabriel. You could Google search him. He's a Michigan guy. He's a couple years older than us. And man, when I tell you, he may be the smartest person I've ever met. And was a fantastic business partner. And he was the person who literally took me up under his wing and I bought in. And when he showed me over 25 million in his bank account and what I'm doing real estate. I don't give a damn. Yeah, I'm slaying these t-shirts downtown and I'm gonna do my noni juice, but it's real estate. So now I started to manage all of his apartment buildings in Shaker Square. He had 308 units. And so he wanted to get me to work for him hourly. I was like, man, I'm no, pay me off of what I produce for you because I want to be just like y'all. I want to be the business owner, right? So I'm going to be buying these houses just like y'all, and I can't be buying these houses if y'all going to be having me. I'm being just like so. And that was this is the greatest compliment I could give y'all is I want to be like y'all. So let's make this work where you pay me on commission only, but make that commission, and that's what they did. And then I was making the most money I was ever making, ever. And I started buying my own stuff. And then now I'm gonna go to my high school football coach now to ask for $100,000. But I don't even know what I'm gonna buy, right? But I don't even know what. But $100,000 is $100,000. Coach, I'm asking you for $100. So I was preparing myself, and I went up to him. I said, "Hey, man, I want $100,000 commitment from you, because if I get that from you, then this is gonna allow me to go out and put in offers and not be nervous and blah 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 blah." And he was like, "All right, Dontez, you got it." What? and then that's where my real estate game started to like really grow, because Coach Roski, he's a very, very respected person in business here. And once he invested with me, then my next investor was my wife's boss. So my wife, she is in high level energy sales or whatnot. She runs the department of, and she runs the company. I don't know what it is, but so anyway, her boss, so it's another like big time guy who owns restaurants and things like that, got millions and millions of dollars. And so we were at the Cavs game, and we were just talking, and I knew that we were going to do business, right? Because I just knew it. And the game ended, and we're just sitting like in the suite. So it's like, yeah, well, why don't you invest in me in real estate? Because I'm gonna do blah 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 blah. Handshake deal, all right, cool. And now I got another. So that's how it rolled. And and so yeah.
Wait, how many units do you have?
Right now, I have exactly 108 units. So I'm still a ways away from my 250. And I just bought a 68-unit apartment building in June. But I also just sold like within the past year and a half, over 30-something units. And that was with my wife's boss. And the reason why we sold our company is because he bought his partner out. So he sold all of his restaurants, his portion of ownership in the restaurants. And when he said, I was like, man, I must be doing, like, why? Am I doing something wrong? Like, we getting paid? Like, it was like, literally, I was like, why you want to? And because it wasn't public knowledge at the point that he was buying his partner out. And I'm looking like, man, we talk every day. Like, I'm doing what I promised. Like, what the fuck do you want to say? Because my goal is never to sell. My goal is to leave a legacy. Sure. So I want to have all these units and I take care of them and cash flow them and things like that. And then if my kids want to do this or whatnot, then we can do that. Or when I retire, then I can sell it or whatever, right? But I like I want to have the options. I want to have the options. So when he was like, you want to sell? I'm like, damn. Then I was like, well, shoot, we bought these properties during the recession. Like I bought an apartment building for a 24 unit for $240,000. And then in May, we sold it for $900,000. I was selling houses that I bought literally for $12,000 for $130,000. And and we cash flowed them for 5 years, 6 years and whatnot. So it wasn't the worst thing in the world, but at that moment, I'm like, wow, it's me. It's me, baby. Why you gonna leave this? Why you gonna leave this? Right? Why you gonna leave this? But now, you know what I'm saying? And we talked about it and whatnot. So what you gonna do? He sold everything. It wasn't personal, it was business.
Yeah. All right, so let's go back to football. Because first off, Taz, you can go on any rant or anywhere you want to go, but you showed up, you're a wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
What's that like going in that meeting room? You know, Lee Evans is there. We came in with DC, who was J.O. Like there's a lot of young, our class was pretty solid in wide receivers. And they're already good guys. Nick Davis was there.
David Braun was there. Yeah.
David Braun, Bronny.
Yeah. Listen, I thought I was the best. This is the truth though, right? And so and Bernie, you probably understand. Yeah, I see those guys, but I have the confidence in me as well. I tell people, man, I could catch the ball. I just had a hard time getting open. Like those DBs was like something else, right? And it wasn't like I was a bigger receiver, so I invited the pressing. It's when they played off, and I had to run my routes crisp and things like that. And man, like those guys, I couldn't get open. I couldn't get open to the level as those guys. So yeah, I mean, from that point, I felt I was better than Lee Evans. I felt like I was better than Randy Moss. Like literally, like what you want me to say, but it didn't work out the way that I planned, and yeah, I'm not mad at it.
But you redshirted.
Redshirted, yeah. Oh man,
that
redshirted. Oh, listen. So this is true. So I remember this vividly. When I redshirted, I was pissed. And for one day I was pouting, and nobody said shit to me. I'm walking around. I got bad body language or something, and then after, because I'm Dontez Sanders, right? I'm pouting. Somebody gonna come up to me and hold my hand and kiss my. What's wrong with Dontez? I'm at Wisconsin. They may not know that I'm pouting, right? Because I'm afraid. They might like, this motherfucker just a baby. Get this motherfucker. So after my first day of pouting, and nobody said nothing to me, not a teammate, not because everybody they trying to work their job. They ain't got time to be worried about the shitty freshman who redshirting, who over here bitching and moaning. So after that, I was like, man, well, I might as well just go out here and just have fun. And one of my favorite moments of scouting was the Ohio State week. And I was, because I have a high disdain. I wanted the defense to be prepared. And Devin Hollins and J.O., we were on that scout team, and I was playing quarterback again. So welcome back to quarterback. I was playing running back, and I was playing receiver. And we was literally fighting the deep. Like we were really like pushing them and talking shit to them and like getting in their face and like, man, they gonna kick y'all ass. Y'all letting me do this to you. Y'all like literally, man. And I felt like I did, and I won the scout team player of the week. So I was able to go to the game. Like that was my ultimate goal. Like, man, they get to see me. Like I ain't playing, but they're gonna see me on the sidelines, which they're not gonna see you on the sidelines for real. But scout team, yeah, like that's the one thing. Like you gotta just live in the moment, man, and control what you can control, man. And then that was a time where I used that to live life. Like I wasn't playing, right? So when you guys were gone, I was able to hang out and enjoy the fruits of my labor while Lee Evans and everybody was gone. Mm-hmm. I was just Big D on campus.
Yep. I'll tell you, you mentioned not having like the fear or the anxiety of someone coming and like taking your spot. But when you're on a scout team, none of that matters. Like you don't give, someone could be the fullback. You're like, I would have been like, dude, I don't care for 1 second. So it's kind of nice because coming from New York, coming from Ohio, it's different. It's much different. And when you're a freshman, it's much different.
Yeah, it's different.
And you're trying to figure out who you are on campus and who you are with your teammates.
And school-wise too, and like juggling school-wise, and then
right. Everyone's from different backgrounds, and you're like, man, who am I? And then you just have a good time. I remember just caring about working out hard and not getting MF'd on the stupid cards. And that was it.
On the dummy cards, right?
The dummy cards.
The dummy cards.
They call it dummy cards because they think we're all dummies. And so I love that year because you just build these relationships with the scout O, and I love the defensive guys because we just were with them all the time.
Yeah.
I didn't even go with my coach. He didn't even know what I was doing.
And you know what was you build I built a great bond with the strength coaches during that time. We got that early lift, that's that 6 o'clock lift, and then 15. You got to be there at 5:45. You got to be in the weight room, so you really got to be there at no later than 5:15, 5:20, whatever, because you got to get dressed and get there, and then you got to drink your little drinks or whatnot. Because I was on this little routine to keep weight, so it was. But again, you had your system. You had the system, and you had the product. And I was late for one workout one time, and it was me and Sparky, and this was in the region, and man, we were so scared. JD looked at I'm talking about scared. And listen, we were on time, so it wasn't like, so if we lifted at 6, we probably got there at 5:50. But the group had it started already, and JD saw me and Sparky. We got no penalty. And I was surprised. I just knew he was going to do. He gave us nothing. He looked at us with a mean face and then laughed and said, "You guys are fine. Just go on with the next group." And that was just enough. And again, I was never ever late ever again. And
it's funny because you weren't late. To normal people, that's not late. The thing is, you had to be standing there with a jump rope in your hand or at the neck machine or whatever the first workout was, waiting at 5:40 in the morning. Because whenever JD walked in, it wasn't a set 5:45. It was not. He could come in anytime after 5:40, but he never came in before. Mm-hmm. So I give it to him for there. But I just remember standing there at 5:40 being like, man, I'm going to do this for the next 4 years.
And it's intense though, too.
It's intense.
Like you would do a set and then somebody else would go in your group and then you right back at it. So you're not getting 3 minutes. No, man, you're getting like a minute, 2 minutes, and you doing the most weight ever, and then about to give you a plus 15. Like, how? How? I'm gonna be thinking about this all plus 15. He had to help me on the national. How's that a plus? But I mean, listen, man, I've never done anything as challenging. I have never been pushed to that extent, to the point, because listen, I like to say that I work hard now. And I do, but I have never worked as hard as I did at Wisconsin. And even though I try to make myself as disciplined and things like that, man,
there's no working that hard. I mean, that's a 5:46. Let's just say 6 o'clock start. Mm-hmm. Class. They made you take class between a certain window, right? From 9:30, because the workout went from 5:40
to 8:50.
Oh, so an 8:50. But you had to hustle to get there, or because that's hard. So an 8:50, and then you had to be done by 2:10. To get back to the stadium. And then as a freshman, you have to go to study table till 9 o'clock. So if you think about it, you could go home at 9 o'clock. What could you possibly do? You had to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning the next day. And for 4 days out of the 5 days, it was bananas.
Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. And then, so I was a guy, I didn't party on Tuesdays. I just didn't. So I would go out on the weekend, and I'm still that type of guy now. Just during the week, I just don't have the desire to. But when I did go out on the weekend, I just
But I think we would go out on the week. I think it's different now. I don't think those guys do what we did on the weekends. But we would take it we went 100 miles per hour all day, and we just took that into the bars, but in a positive way. It wasn't 100 pushing people down or doing anything crazy.
It was fun.
We were just having a good time.
Yeah.
Everywhere we went, we were loud. I was definitely obnoxious, but in a positive, fun way. That we weren't
like a pack of wolves, and everybody knew who we were, and I appreciated that. And so, listen, I'm gonna tell you another thing that I loved about Wisconsin, man. I love being black in Wisconsin. For real, right? Let me tell y'all why. What the hell am I doing there? Either I'm a genius, or I want a football team, right? So there was no really having to. So when it came to like my dating life, there wasn't like a lot of games to have to be ran. I could introduce so I'm a person who I went to class all the time and participated and just had to, because that's where everybody was at. So that was fun. And then I feel like that I stood out in a positive way, right? Because I'm on the football team and I'm going to class, I'm participating and I'm having fun doing it, right? I'm not trying to get straight A's. I'm not in class all stressed out, but I know I'm not going to get D's and F's either, right? So I was just right there. Sometimes I get some A's and sometimes I get some C's, but I was never a person where like, man, I'm about to flunk out. I was always good. Like the coaches, I didn't give the coaches a reason to have to go sniffing around for anything. I ain't give them a reason to.
You didn't want to.
I didn't want to.
You didn't want to. You wanted to stay as close to the green. There were dudes who would get, dudes who were always on a list.
Yeah.
Whatever list that was. And it was 10 times more annoying to be that guy with people checking you. They would follow you to class. Yeah. You'd get drug tested every single other week or whatever. You didn't want to be that dude. You had no, it was like you're in like jail, but like you could still walk around like in reality, but it was torture for some of these dudes. And I remember seeing them and being like, dude, just go to class, man.
Just go to class.
Just go to class.
And like, they don't flunk you if you go to class. Like, listen, I used to get some bad grades on tests, and then I see my grade, like, dude, but they don't flunk people that they like. They're not gonna flunk anybody. Like, I'm in class, I participate, I'm here.
Whoever gave that was the best advice I got was go up and say hi to go up and shake all your teachers' hands.
Yeah.
And I used to do that, and they'd be like, "Who are you?" And I'm like, Matt Bernstein. I just want to let you know I'm on the football team, but I'll be here every day. Like, thank you so much for having me. Something stupid like that, but that goes such a long way.
They put a face with a name, and it's hard to do something dirty to a person that you know, man.
And even I would sit in the back of classes because it was just more comfortable. And they would sometimes a professor would walk in and be like, "Oh, hey, Matt," and I'd be like, "Hey, professor, what's up?" Yeah. We'd have candy. I'd have food. They're like, "What do you guys do back here?" We're like, we honestly just get candy for each other and we hang out. Like, this is my week. And the professors thought it was like hilarious. Yeah. But we're there every day. They know who we are. Yeah. And you're right. It's impossible to flunk.
Impossible.
Dude, I got one D. Rocks for Jocks over the summer. I got a D. I went every day. I went up to the guy. I gave him my test. He goes to me, "Hey, good luck on the season." I'm like, hell yeah. I can't fail this class. And I did. I got that D. The only D I got, it was the hardest class I've ever taken. I had to call my dad because I didn't have a computer. This is before cell phones and computers and stuff. Yeah. So I had to call my dad and be like, "Hey, Dad, can you go on the portal and see if I was nervous about giving the money back because they give you like $1,200 to go to a class. Yeah. I was nervous about giving that money back. I didn't have any money. I was paying the rent. I got enough. So I go, "Dad, go online and see." And I gave my password and everything. And he's like, "What the is this?" And I was like, "Oh shit, Dad, did I fail?" And he goes, "No, you got a D." He's like, "You're not going to college to get a D." And I'm like, "All right, Dad, gotta go. Love you. Bye."
Hey, I'm good. See you.
I'll see you later.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome. All right, so Ted, so you came in, you're a wide receiver, you're getting everything, you're figuring everything out. How does the switch happen? Like, what happens?
So here's how the switch happened. It actually happened a couple times. I was playing, I'm not sure if you remember, one spring game, I was playing offense and defense. So I was playing safety. So before I moved from receiver, they moved me to safety. And then they moved me back to receiver. And then I spent one day at Sam linebacker. I was like, fuck that. And then I went right back to receiver. And then Coach Bleav came in, Brett Bleav. So Brett Bleav, I remember this day vividly. He called me in his office and sat me down, said, "Dontez, man, the coaches, they say nothing but great things about you." Said, "Everybody here, they love you. They love your energy. They love your work ethic. Just got to figure out how to get you on the field." He even brought up like special teams or whatnot. Like you're selling a special, we got to figure out a way to get you on the field. He said, "Now you could go over there at receiver and compete against," and he started like naming names for playing time. "You could come over here and you could try to take this person's spot." It's your choice. And then he brought the film on because he just came from Iowa. And he had this other linebacker who he was big on. Oh, no, he came from Kansas State. Kansas State. And he had this other linebacker who was similar to my build. And he was showing me, and he was smooth. All like 11 personnel, 10 personnel when the real linebacker was outside the box playing like a hybrid, you know what I'm saying? So like, man, like, and he was like, you're gonna be an athlete here, you're gonna blah, 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 blah. There's one play with that you gotta get tough on and just nut up on. Say, what play is that? Like ISO. Like, all right, I could do it for just one play, you know, so that's fine. I could do one play. But what we did not know is that in practice, so Wisconsin was the only team that really ran ISO. And we would run it in camp, and like we knew we run it pre-game, and we always run ISO. And I knew when the ISO was coming, I was like, "Oh shoot!" And I got to go against Bernie, and Bernie doesn't have a neck. I'm wearing a cowboy collar to protect my neck, right? I'm wearing a device to protect my neck, and he does not have a neck. And again, this is the truth. I would never go heads up on Bernie. Just why? I would try to blow Bernie knee out the first few times so I could slow him up, right? Because then he gonna start thinking about like he's going low, but you can't do that to your brother. And 2 a days it's ISO, and then in practice for me was harder than the games. Practice for me was more physical than the games because when we go play Northwestern and then we like Iowa was kind of physical, but most of the time I may get ISO once or twice maybe. I'm like they may try to hit me like with the power, but for the most part, man, I was able to use my speed and play backdoor and like chase things down, or I could be outside in the box and be on the edge and things like that. But practice, man, practice was a beast for me.
We also did inside drill, and it was the plays we never ran in a game too. We never ran ISO in a game. Bob, we never did it. We never did it.
Big on big. Like, come on, man.
We might have done it twice or 3 times, like in a game, like maybe once a game. It was such a waste of time to do it 10 times. And it was such a headache to consistently do it.
Literally.
And then for just the running back to cut back. Like it was, come on, this is not even ISO. Just don't do this anymore.
Right. Yeah.
Wait, so Coach B is like, dude, come compete over here. And you're like, let's go.
And so he's like, you could come over here. And at this time, man, listen, I'm desperate, right? Like, come on, like, listen, I've been here red shirt year, second year. Now I got to get on the field because if I don't play my junior year, if I don't start my junior year, I'm not starting my senior because they're going to put one of them freshmen in. Right, because that's just how it goes. Listen, it's okay, and that's just how it goes. I was desperate, so I'm not gonna say. So the person who was in front of me, I knew I was better than. Like, listen, I knew I was better than, right? And so when they call out the one, so how it worked was, Matt, is that the starters they get 4 plays, the backups they get 2, and the shit hooks get whatever the shit hooks get, right? And so what would happen is that the starters, they'll go ahead and like they'll be getting their 4 plays. I'm desperate. So I run in, hey, you out. He like, and then he'll jog out. Like, hell yeah, I'm in with the starters. And I remember the first time I did that, I did it and I messed up. And they said, you messed that up. That's not, get your ass out of there. And so I'm jogging out, people laughing at me. The very next series, I remember this vividly, the very next series, same thing happened. Hey man, you out. He looking like, I said, hey, you out. And he jogs out. And then I get a pick, boom, I take it back. And then like, good play, like, that's not, I'm doing my dance. And they're like, that's not, get your ass out of there. Guess what? I'm jogging out. And I kept doing the same fucking thing. And then they stopped telling me to get out. And then I just started going in with the ones. And the other person allowed this to happen. And so I remember this vividly. I did not know that I was a starter for real, until we were in the camp at the seminary and they put out them depth charts. And I saw my name number 1 on that depth chart, and goddamn it, that was still the happiest day of my life after my son being born and getting married. But I fucking finally, right? Finally, like that's how it felt for me. Like fucking finally. And so when people ask me, like, Dontez, do you miss football and this and that? I tell people, no. Because here's the honest to God truth. I could look myself in the mirror and I say, God damn it, you gave it your all. You gave it your all. You left a part of you on the field and you tried your absolute best and you maxed out everything that God has blessed you with. Kudos. Now go do it in fucking real estate. Go be the best real estate person you could possibly be. And so that's where I'm at now. And so now it still feel like, hey, get out. I'm at the point now, I'm like, hey, you out. Yeah, get out. So yeah. So
dude, as you mentioned the seminary, what was that like to show up there?
it was stupid. So first of all, it was dumb. But my first year, I'm hyped for it. Like, ooh, I'm about to go start, right? And when we first started, it was 3-a-days. Remember? It was 3. And then with like when we graduated, it got easier and easier. But man, and then you sleeping on the 3rd floor of this hot place. And then I had a roommate, was Trayvon, and I remember this, man. He boo-booed, and I smelled it, and there was nothing that I could do. I couldn't, because it was in between the practices. So I'm going to take a nap, and I can't do nothing wrong, but I'm trying to sleep, and I gotta smell this shit, and it's just. and then people would take phantom shits and close the door, and then you come back, and then your room smells like shit.
That was the most ruthless thing. The phantom shits, dude. Yeah. I remember coming back. I had 3 fans one year because you could only bring fans. I had 3 fans. I opened my door. I never closed my door because there's nothing in there for anyone to take. It was just shorts, t-shirts.
Right.
It was all the gear that they gave you. So what are you going to take? And it was disgusting.
With the number on it.
Yeah, and when your number on it, and I wore the same things every day, so it was disgusting. And and I had 3 fans. That was it. I come in, I open the door, all my fans are off. I was like, man, somebody got me. Somebody got me. No, I think it was Mike Allen. Damn special teams dudes would just come out from practice and go into someone's room and just.
Oh, because they didn't have shit to do.
They didn't do anything. The seminary was. You talk about something hard to do. Yeah. That to me was one of the hardest things I've ever. Football at Wisconsin was one of the hardest things, but the seminary was. You didn't do anything else.
They do nothing else. Nothing. Football. And I remember the game room down there that they give us 45 minutes to and that game room was sweet. But also what I remember about that though, was they had all the ice creams though. They had all the ice creams down there in the cafeteria where you could go down there and eat. But yeah, I think I would rather sacrifice the ice creams for the 3-a-days.
But what's funny is they gave you all this great food. They had chips and ice cream and everything. And then maybe not for you, but for me, they were like, "Hey, Bernie, you got to weigh yourself every day." And I was like, "No." I used to skip the guy. I would skip. Remember, was it Justin? I'd be like, "No, dude, I'm not getting skipped." He's like, "Bernie, I got to tell your coach." I'm like, That's okay. Go tell him.
They were doing it though for the hydration though.
I didn't know that. I thought I was in trouble. They were doing it for hydration so I wouldn't die. But so I wouldn't step on the scale. So Coach White came up to me as a sophomore or junior. This is when you got a little bit more chutzpah. You got more balls to basically say I'm going to kind of not do what everyone wants me to do all the time. I went up. So he comes up to me and he goes, "Bernie, why don't you ever get on the scale?" And I was like, "Coach, you're going to yell at me if I get on the scale, but you're going to yell at me if I don't get on the scale." So I'm like, I might as well give you the reason I want to give you to yell at me. And he's like, "Coach, the wheels are turning." He's like, "All right." He's like, "Just don't weigh 270 or over." I was like, "Okay."
Right. Yeah.
Oh man.
Coach White is still one of my favorite guys there, man. Because even when I was going from position to position and kind of get down, I remember him, man. And again, I didn't even play his position ever. He didn't recruit me or anything, and he would call me into his office just to make sure that mentally that I was doing good, and that's something that I appreciated about him. Not my coach, had no vested interest in me, but it was a person who cared about another person. So,
Coach White to me was one of the best coaches there. Henry Mason was one of the best coaches there. I mean, these are guys that I felt like, you're right, who did care about you on a different level, who actually took the time. In meetings, you were with Coach Mason. Then who was the linebackers coach? Coach B?
Coach B, yeah.
Coach B.
The worst coach who used to motherfuck me the best was Coach Cooper. Man, listen, let me tell you, I got a couple stories about Coach Cooper, man. So, used to treat me like the nicest person off the field. And in meetings and things like that, he would motherfuck me for nothing. I thought, listen, and to this day, I think he was still just picking with me for whatever reason. But let me tell you, he was calling me Dontz, Dontz, D-O-N-T-Z, Dontz. And so I didn't like that. I said, Coach, my name Tez, man, not Tez. Hey, come on, man. I don't like, you don't get to call me Donch. He looked me dead in my eye. Okay, Donch. Like, all right, cool. And I remember one time I was at safety, right? Listen, I was at that time a shit hook, right? I was like the backup dime. For real, I was the backup dime. And so we had a specific thing in the meeting that we were going to do. This was like a Monday meeting. And then we had a meeting on Tuesday where we changed it, right? And it happened. So it was an audible. They came out in this, we're gonna like change it to tell me this. I'm at safety. They came out in the thing, I changed it to day one, the thing that like they said on Monday. Again, man, this is my second rep in 4 days. Like, dude, I don't practice. I'm the backup. I'm sorry, Coach. He motherfucked me and sit me down with the scout team and like literally told me how dumb I was. And he told me, he said, son, you stealing. You might as well transfer now. Like saying that I shouldn't even be on scholarships. Like that. And he kept going on as I'm jogging down with the scout team, like he's motherfucking me. And then I go down on the scout. Coach Alvarez said, Coach Cooper, that's enough. Coach Alvarez had to save me. I remember Chucky Collins came right back. So I'm standing on the sideline after being like, motherfucker, you know that stand. Chucky Collins coming to me, smacking my ass. Hey man, sorry man, you good. Like it was that bad, right? The next day, so game week, so we're playing Michigan. And so now I went down with, so it was the next day, I go down in the scout team meeting because he just motherfucked me and told me to go down there. I mean, he just dogged me and I fuck. Then he sends Jim Leonard to the scout team meeting. Jim Leonard, he comes and grabbed me and he's smiling and stuff like that. I'm like, man, they're like, hey, Tez, Coach Coop wants you. I'm like, man, what the fuck? He about to. I'm there. Everybody else, they're sitting down in their chairs. And Coach Coop, he's sitting in front of the team and everybody's there in the auditorium chair. And so he has me sitting up in front of everybody facing the DBs. And he's smiling and stuff like, Donce, how you doing? Like, Coach, man, I'm just trying to make the team better. I'm just trying to make sure I don't mess up again, man. Like this is important to me. And like, nah, stop all that bullshit, son. You're playing this week. Have a seat. I said, what? I'm playing this week? I never played ever. You just I never played in the game like other than now I'm playing. So listen, so they had a tight end called Benny Joffrey from Michigan, or Benny's like something. So he's like, his job is wherever this guy go. You check this guy, that's your man. And I was like, all right, Coach, cool. But what happened if it's a run? He said, he's like, dude, but goddamn it, see, that's your problem. I just tell you what to do. But he gave me my first opportunity to like really play. And I but like, dude, to this day, I still don't understand it. Like, I don't know if he liked me or if he did not like me or if he's just trying to prepare me for something different, or I don't even know why I even played that game, but I did a very good job and I'm still confused. He mentally screwed me and I'm still like mentally screwed. I'm scarred by it. I don't know what happened.
You know, I'm sorry to laugh but now we can look back on these like times and laugh. JD mentally screwed me. I wake up, I have to know what time it is. Like if I don't have a clock in the room, I'm freaking out all this. And I'm 39 years old.
Yeah.
Like, JD could call me and yell at me and I'd be scared.
For
like,
real,
I'd still be
detonator.
I mean, then it's just unbelievable. Like everyone's like, oh, what's wrong with you? I'm like, dude, I show up to parties 15 minutes early and people are like, what are you doing? Oh, the food's not put out, nothing's set up. And I'm like, well, I'm here to help. If you guys, I have like a jump rope. I'm ready to go, man.
Yeah. Like, y'all told me that it was started. I'm here. Where they at?
Yeah. So Ted, so you have an amazing junior and senior year. What happens after? You're
not much. So I'm a free agent, right? And I have an option between three teams, right? The Chicago Bears, the Green Bay Packers, and the Cleveland Browns, right? And so I have my agent, who was my brother's agent. So I'm getting the homeboy hookup a little bit, right? They give me like $2,500 because they probably know. They probably knew, but they wanted to like look out for me. So I was like, all right, cool, man. Mel Tucker is with the Browns. Mel Tucker, he's a Wisconsin Badger. Mel Tucker, he's a Cleveland Heights guy. He's from Cleveland. Like, all right, cool. I know Mel Tucker enough to, if I'm gonna have any opportunity, man, let me try and do it again. So now after I was a linebacker my junior, senior year, so now I'm going to go to the NFL to play safety. So which I didn't play safety. So again, but in my mind, I'm the best safety in the world. The reason why I ain't played is because Jim Leonard was there. And so whatever, you know what I'm saying? And so, you know what I'm saying? I go through and I Bleav that, listen, I Bleav that I had a good camp. Like I didn't get like people wasn't catching touchdowns on me. Like I don't even remember balls. Listen, in my mind, I did everything perfect and nothing wrong happened. But my junior year at Wisconsin, I had surgery on my shoulder. This was at the bowl game. I think we were playing Georgia. My shoulder popped out. I had surgery a couple of weeks after that. Played my junior year. They put in screws in it. But it was never right. And it's still not right on the range of motion or whatnot. But I was still able to tackle and play my senior year. And then when I go with the Browns, like I said, I'm doing at rookie camp what I Bleav is a fantastic job. And then you have the physicals. And so then they had me at the Cleveland Clinic, and I'm there for hours longer than everyone else. And they have multiple doctors in there focusing on one thing, my shoulder.
Shoulder. Yep.
They did the other stuff that they did for everybody else in the school, and then they did my shoulder. And listen, it is what it is. They bring out the like that ruler that measures your range of motion and stuff like that. Then guess what? This was on a Saturday. Then Sunday, guess what? I go back to practice. They call out names after that. And the people so you know when you break it down, they call out names to meet the coach afterwards. You're gonna cut. So I'm there, like boom. We break it down the last time. They call me, I'm a fucking Cleveland Browns. I'm a hometown hero. I made it now, right? Broke it down. I got the person to come up to me. They didn't call my name. Hey man, Coach Cornell wants to see you in the office. Like, oh man, it's just different. Like it's for me, this is different because they called it out. He came to me individually, something's different. And it was the most polite thing ever, man. He explained, and I have a high respect for Romeo. That was probably our only conversation for real, because, but I had a high respect for him, how he did it versus how Ohio State did it. So still screw them Buckeyes because it's a way how you break it down. And so when he did it, this is the truth. He told me that I was done and for the reason why. And I sat down on the curb outside of the Cleveland Browns facility and I cried because I knew that it was, I knew I'm not chasing this now. Now I'm not about to go to try to play Canada. Like it's over with. Then the van comes up, wipe my tears up, take me back to the hotel, pack my shit, and that was that. That was the end. That was the last time that I suited up and played football. And again, remember I said like this, I feel like I gave it my all. I went out there, I competed, so I don't feel bad about anything. I enjoy it, and now I'm coaching my son's team, and I coach those guys just like that. They are like, just like I'm Hughes. I'm out there, I'm screaming at them, I'm on them hard, but that's why we are champs, though. We kick everybody butt.
Tez, you are one of the best storytellers ever, and you got to come on more. And we're just so thankful and grateful for you to be on here. Yeah, this is so funny. I mean, you crack me up, and I know half these stories.
Yeah. But no, man, I enjoyed myself for real. I did, man.
No, at least you got cut in a very respectful way. Some dude who I have no idea brought me in his office. He's like, dude, you're out. This guy's going to follow. Like some dude I've never seen. He's like, he's going to follow you back to the hotel to get your book. I was like, I don't want it. I'm not selling it. Like, you guys are. They went 0-16 that year. I was like, nobody wants this book. But this guy followed me into the hotel room, checked me out, like kind of creepy, but a little bit different. But I mean, it's crazy to, take those pads off and leave your things, no matter what locker it is, and be like, man, this is like it. Because that's all you've done so much of.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. And the crazy thing is like, after Wisconsin, I just knew for sure I was going to be playing on like Sundays. It wasn't like, all right, I did not have a plan B. I did not have anybody helping me find jobs. I didn't have anybody. I didn't do interns in college. It was, I'm going pro. My brother went pro, right? This is just what we do. My brother went to college. Bam Childers, my best friend, went pro. Brian Swift, so the people that I talked about earlier, he's overseas playing ball. I'm going pro. This is just what we do. And now then when it end, and it wasn't even like I was depressed, but I was mad. Just like, now I got to figure out what the fuck I'm going to do.
Forever.
I did like network marketing and so noni juice and all that. So, just trying to like figure it out. Man.
Yeah. Well, Tez, I love you, man. Thank you so much. Man. We're definitely going to have you on again. We're trying to do some fun, like round tables with like, linebackers I'm trying to get Root and like AD and BC together. So we'll figure it out. It'll be, I think you and AD would be hilarious together. You guys always have been
too. Hey, so me and AD, we like we still send each other like inappropriate Instagrams, you know what I'm saying, through the, so yeah, man, that's my guy.
Oh, Tez, well, I'll let you go back to your 12, 13 hour day, but thanks for taking the time to come on, man. This was special.
It's my pleasure, Matt. I love you, man. And congratulations on the family and all that good stuff.